Hey guys, this is Coach Powell. I'm going live to you for the first time with my new technology, my new webcam, my new service situation that I'm working out here, and I'm trying on some new stuff. So I hope you guys will be okay with it. I'm going to, there we go, increase what I'm doing. There's going to be a lot of obviously learning curve with what we're doing here today, and you're going to see my eyes dart back and forth on the camera so I can see what's on the screen in terms of what you're seeing and what I'm trying to share with you today. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to share. I hope you will enjoy the program today. This is the first time I'm using a couple new technologies all at the same time. One is a beautiful program called StreamYard, and I found that I could use StreamYard to simulcast, which basically means I can go live across a lot of social media platforms all at once. So today's program you're seeing for the first time on both YouTube and Facebook consistently. I see my boy Scott's out there. That's very good. I can see everybody popping in, which is great. This is awesome. As you come into the network, do me a favor and let me know who you are, what your name is, and go ahead and put that in the chat box below so I can see where you are, where you're coming from. And that's going to be helpful because I'll be able to then, refer to any of the comments that you make. I'll know who you are or your avatar, or whatever you want to put down there. That's very good. So today's program is going to be super special in a couple different ways. The first way is that, like I said, it's the first time I'm using StreamYard. It's also the first time I'm using my webcam. I have a webcam that I just purchased. I literally set this up 2 minutes ago. And so I'm using it for the first time. If anybody has any problems with hearing me or have any problems with sharing anything in the content studio, let me know because I want to know how it's working. And I would love it if you all would share the podcast or share the program with anybody in your networks. Let people know that you're on live with the Coach Powell. And that's pretty much where we're going with that. Today's topic is going to be super, 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 super special. And the reason why it's going to be special is because not just that I'm just using all this brand new technology, because it's the third part in a series, in a 9-part series that I'm going to be doing over the next few more weeks, like 6 more weeks I have on this one after today, on what you need to do to master the art of professional relationship development. So anything you want to bring to the table, any person you want to see, anything you want to do to increase the professional relationships that you have, you're going to be able to do quite well by simply following the tools, the tips, the strategies, the techniques, and the exercises that I'm going to be sharing with you. This is critically important because all over the world, it doesn't matter where you are, what profession you're in, or what you're doing, you have to be good at developing professional relationships. And everybody's not good at it. Sometimes, maybe you're very cerebral. I know I am, and you think, these big ideas all the time, but you don't necessarily have the skills required to communicate them effectively or to know you're communicating them effectively. And sometimes that will hurt you and will haunt you, actually. And you have to be very, very careful about that. I got my cell phone working and the computer working all at the same time. This is going to be probably information overload for Marvin, but we're going to do the best we can with what we have. So having said that, it's very easy to work with people if you understand basically how relationships work, what's good about relationships, what works about relationships, how to get what you want out of a relationship. And you got to follow these very simple steps. So the first 3 steps in the process are basically these. First step is really learning how to listen, how to ask really good questions and listen. Then the next step in every relationship process is you have to start to make some commitments, some promises. You have to have understanding what you bring to the table and know how to deliver what you bring to the table in a meaningful way that drives the relationships forward. And then the next thing you have to do is be able to follow up and follow through. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the magic of follow up and follow through. When you understand how to do this well, you will be exceptional in the world of professional relationship development. And it doesn't mean that you can make everybody fall in love with you, but it does mean you will be able to have the tools to foster relationships with people who should be in love with you. There are people out there who, quite frankly, should be benefiting from you and what you bring to the table and what your existence is and everything and your ability. Okay, so I see now. Unfortunately, guys, my internet connection probably isn't as stable as I want it to be. And so we may have some issues where it goes in and out. If not, hopefully it won't be too cumbersome or be too problematic. If not, if it is, I'm gonna have to figure out another way to do this. But anyhow, where was I? We were talking about how important it is to learn how to value these connections, right? How important it is to learn the magic, the art of follow up and follow through. When you do this well, then everybody is going to be able to benefit greatly from who you are and what you do, and you're going to be able to benefit from the world in a very unique and very special way. There is a belief that I have when it comes to relationship building and using and leveraging relationships, and I want to share that with you. One is this understanding of what networking is and what it isn't. Networking, in my point of view, is the art and science of maintaining and developing relationships so that you can leverage them and create win-win opportunities. So now it's very hard to leverage a relationship that you don't have. You have to have the relationship before you leverage it. If you try to leverage a relationship before you actually have the relationship, then you're probably putting the cart before the horse. You're probably going too far, too fast, and you're not really allowing that relationship to get to the point where it can adequately be developed and move forward. And so I think that before you can begin to collaborate with someone, before you can begin to even effectively encourage them, you have to know them. You have to know them, and you have to have communicated to them in a way that they know you and they know that you know them. And so therefore, that's why you want to, when you look at the 9 steps or the illustration from the 9 steps, you're going to see the first 3 steps are all about getting to know the people in your network, getting to know the people that you need to know so that you can then leverage that opportunity. If you try to leverage that opportunity too soon, then I got a feeling you're going to be asking people to do things they're not prepared to do. You're going to be asking people to help you with things they don't want to help you with. You're going to be offending people. You're going to be setting them in the wrong direction. You're going to be creating confusion and drama. And unless, a person is in a situation where they actually want what you immediately present to them, then you run the risk of ruining the potential for that relationship to grow and move you and your business forward. This is very critically important. And I'll give you a classic example. I do this, it happens all the time because I teach professional relationship building, right? So as part of my coaching process, I've seen it happen all the time when a person wants a mentor. And they may identify someone in their company or somebody in their association or somebody they know who might be good at or might have been good at something they're trying to do. And they'll go and they'll approach that person and they'll ask that person, quite frankly, point blank, will you mentor me? Here's the problem. Most people you would ask to mentor you are probably busy doing a ton of other things. Not only they're busy, they don't know you, right? If they don't know you and they're busy, it is a perfect combination for you to get rejected. So you get rejected. Now, when you get rejected, it's not necessarily a bad thing to get rejected. However, it doesn't feel good ever. And it should never feel good. That whole notion that we try to tell people in the sales world that when you get rejected, it's okay. Just keep coming at it. Just keep being persistent. Just keep going until a person gives you 5 no's. You really should, keep going. Well, in practice, that's great. Persistency is great. Resilience is great. I will never tell you that those things are bad. However, if you're beating your head up against a brick wall and you figure it out the first time you go at it, it's probably not a good thing to go at it again. Because that's just going to make it more difficult for you, especially when it comes to people that you want in your life and people that you're going to see again and again and again, or you want to see again and again and again. You don't want your initial introduction to them or your initial thoughts or ideas that come with them with a whole lot of fear and anxiety and frustration and on both sides. You want to come to this where both of your relationship are progressing and in sync, and it's going that way. So when you learn these tools I'm going to tell you now about follow-up and follow-through and how you do that, I think you're going to be in a great place. Now, I understand that if you're seeing today's program for the first time, if you're seeing follow-up and follow-through, and this is the first time you're being introduced to this idea, you're going to want to go back and see the previous video. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you can go back to the previous videos and catch videos. Actually the last 3 Facebook videos, and you'll be able to see from where we introduce you the whole process of the 9 steps to mastery. And then we start going to step 1, which is listening up. And then we go into step 2, which is promises. And then we go into step 3, which is follow up. This is step 3, right? So you're gonna catch up on this video. I'm not saying you should stop this video, but definitely go back and listen and work through the workbook and work through some of the sheets that are there in there. All of them, I always post something in the chat box for you. So as you move through this, don't think that oh, this is not for me, I'm being left out, or I can't engage. I want you to engage. I want you to make sure that if you have a thought, a question, an idea, go ahead and put that in the chat box. Now I can see the chat box as I'm doing the video simultaneously because I'm not using my phone, duh. And so if you have some ideas that you want to share when it comes to following up and follow through, if you have questions you want to ask, please do that, because when we get to the Q&A section, I'm going to be going through the chat. I'm going to be responding to some of the things that you say. So let's make sure that you do participate. I know there are a few of you out there right now on YouTube and a few of you out there on Facebook. Those of you who are out there, if you haven't already, do me a favor, go ahead and type your name and anything you might want to share in the comment box right now, just so I make sure that works. Scott, I already know you know how to work that. So whoever else is out there, feel free to type something in the chat box because it'll let me know that number 1, it's working. Number 2, you can hear me. And I always need to make sure, because I don't want to talk too loud, but I don't want to talk, in a tone that you also can't hear or understand, or go too fast. So if you need me to slow down, if you need me to speak up, if you need me to articulate better, just let me know. I don't have a problem with the feedback. In fact, I enjoy all feedback. I think feedback is the magic manna from heaven that will help me be better at everything that I want to do, including be there for you. So let's talk about that. Okay, so let's get into the topic. When you think about what it takes, literally what we have to do to understand how to follow up and follow through with everything that we do with people, everything that we do in systems, everywhere we are, it is critical that you understand what tools you have to use, what processes you could go from, what promises that you have to make, what exercises you can do to prepare yourself so that you're ready as is possible in the world that we live in today. And when you do, you're gonna be ready. You're gonna be able to do this really, really well. So here's the problem though. When you don't prepare, when you don't have some type of strategy, when you don't have a program that you're following along, even for your follow-up, what ends up happening quite by mistake is people feel like they're confused. They don't know what you do. They don't know what you bring to the table. They don't know what your intentions are. It's not easy to build a relationship with somebody who's trying to follow up with you, especially on something that you're not sure you want it or you need it or it's going to be good for you or you even want to be in a relationship with this person, right? And so you've got to make sure that you have some programs and some thoughts in your mind, some ideas of how you can make an offer of some things that are useful and relevant to the people that you're talking with or to want to talk with. And if they're not, how you can quickly pivot, to something that's more relevant or anything like that. This is very, very important. So if you follow those first 2 steps, if you've listened to somebody really, really well, and you've understood who they are, what they're all about, where they're coming from, what their intentions are, what they're trying to deliver to the universe, right? And you now can make some promises to do some things that are going to further the relationship beyond the initial moments where you've met each other. So once you've done that, now you're into a system, you're into a strategy, you're into what's coming next, and that's the follow-up and follow-through plan. So I'm going to give you a quick little 8-point checklist, so to speak, or an assessment, and you can look at how you do on this assessment, and as I answer the questions, and that'll tell you how good you are with follow-up and follow-through. Now, I know you may have a gut feeling already about that. You may have right in your mind, I know where I suck at and where I don't suck at this. But this is going to break this down into like 8 different individual sections of follow-up and follow-through that might help you figure out where you need to work. And so if you can, go ahead and get yourself a piece of paper and a pencil or pen or something to write down. Just number on that paper 1 through 10. And I'm going to give you an engagement word to write down. No, 1 through 8, not just 1 through 10, 1 through 8. I'm going to give you a word to write down, and I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to ask you to rate yourself on that particular question, on some questions or some statements around that word that will help you begin to understand where you need to structure and where you need help with your follow-up. And then later on in the program, I'm going to tell you some things you can do to actually shore up that issue, so that if you have questions about it, you know what you can do better to create some life around that. Also, though, if you're a part of the roundtable and you have access to our Google Drive, you have access to the 9 steps to mastery, relationship mastery, and then you can download that and you can go through the exercises there, which will also be very, very helpful. Okay, so there's 8 words I want you to write down, or phrases I want you to write down. Number 1, I want you to write down, consistent communication. Number 2, I want you to write down leading questions. Number 3, I want you to write keep the momentum. Number 4, I want you to write avoid procrastination. Number 5, I want you to write matches the concern. Number 6, I want you to write make and keep promises. Number 7, I want you to write commit to the end. And number 8, I want you to write finishing well, or finishes well. So let me go through this again. Number 1, consistent communication. Number 2, leading questions. Number 3, keep the momentum. Number 4, avoid procrastination. Number 5, match the concern. Number 6, make and keep promises. Number 7, commit to the end. And number 8, finish well. Okay, so now I want you to give yourself a rating on the scale of 1 to 10 as I go through each of these processes. And when you give yourself that rating, I want 1 be the lowest and 10 be the highest. And when it's all set up, when we're all said and done, you can be able to add up your scores and determine how well you did overall, but you'll also be able to see section by section, point by point, how well you did in each one of the categories. Fair enough? Okay, so number 1, I deliver consistent communication that increases my effectiveness and enhances the chances of success with my referral partners. I deliver consistent communication that increases and enhances my effectiveness with my referral partners. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you do that? Are you talking to your referral partners in such a way as they understand and get who you are, what you're all about, and they're comfortable with jumping on board and helping you? Are you helping them find the easiest route to help you so that it's easy for them? Because here's a trick that I'm going to share with you. If you know what somebody's already good at, or what they already have in terms of resources, whether they have people, time, or treasure. I call it the T3 resources: time, talent, treasure. Or if they have time, talent, or money, basically treasure, that they can leverage with you, then asking them for those things, especially if they have those things in abundance, is much easier than asking them for something that they don't have. And so when you're listening up for that first steps, you're listening for what they have, what they have to offer, what are they bringing to the table. You're asking questions around these things so that you can figure out, does this person have anything that I could leverage? Is there relationships they have that I can leverage? Is there time that they have that I can leverage? Is there some talent or skill they have that I can leverage? Are they wealthy beyond this belief? So much so they don't know what to do with all their money. Maybe I can leverage that. But you have to listen for things, that clues they may give you, and ask questions around those things that will help you determine what they bring to the table. If they're not good up front with sharing that, which I highly suggest that you be about the business of doing, knowing what you can bring to the table up front, and making sure that you communicate that as effectively as possible. Because when you make a promise around something that you already gifted at, it's very, very good. And when you get somebody else to make a promise around something that they already own control over, it's very, very good. So give yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at delivering that effective, consistent communication that allows people to just jump on board and be a part of your universe and a part of your world? Are you warm? Are you inviting? Are you open for these new engagements and these new opportunities? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1, I suck at this, 10, I'm brilliant at this. Give yourself the rating. Number 2, after you've given yourself the rating for consistent communication, you can move into leading questions. Do you ask the right kinds of leading questions that spark interest and keep conversations flowing? Do you know how to do that? I would suggest you have 5 leading questions that will lead people right into the universe that you want them to be in, that will help you determine how effective it is for you to be in a potential relationship with them. If you don't have questions, go ahead and throw your questions out, Gene. If you don't have good, if you haven't well practiced, well rehearsed 5 consistent questions that will help you determine who this person is and what they're all about, then I suggest you try True Voice. True Voice is a program that I created. It's an acronym. It stands for vision, opportunities, instinct, commitments, and environment. And I have those right there, 5 questions that I already have at the top of my mind. Anytime I want to talk to somebody, I'll ask them a vision question. If something like, if the world was perfect, if everything worked exactly like you wanted it to work, what would you want to be, do, and have as a result of whatever's going on right now? Whether we're in a meeting together, or we're in an association, we're a group or conversation, whatever. And when you have those questions at the ready, then you can begin to engage people in dialogue that gives you everything you need to know about them to get closer to them. Maybe you ask them the obstacle question. What obstacles are in the way of you accomplishing everything you dream of accomplishing? That's a great question, right? Or the instinct question. Instinctively, what do you know that you should be doing more than you're doing right now to create the kind of success you want to create in your life or your business? Or maybe the commitment questions. What are you committed to, or what do you need to commit to more than you are committed to now to help you get further in your life, in your business, and in your career? Or environmental questions. Is there some things out there in the environment that are affecting you or could potentially derail your whole entire business process? Make life, I guess, you ask the True Voice questions and you understand how to use them really, really, really. What I think you're going to find is that people relate to you better. So I found myself and scrolling and trying to get back to screen here. There we go. All right. I should be back now. Everything should be back. I don't think we're going to have that problem again. I just reconfigured to my hotspot for my cell phone. So hopefully we'll be able to continue. I apologize for the break we were just on just now, but I was teaching you the 5 points of true voice. I hope you got that before things went a little wonky. I apologize for that. But let's move on. I see that there's lots of questions in here that Gene has. So, I'll go through those questions when we go to the Q&A section, Gene, unless you're going to be off or you can't stick around. All right. And I think you're still on, so we should be good. So where was I? So number 2, are you asking the right types of leading questions that give people literally everything they need to give, or help people give you everything you need to move forward, everything you need to move forward in the communication process? Because if you don't do that, one, you may feel like they may feel like you don't care enough about them. You're not inquisitive enough about them and who they are and what they're bringing to the table, or what they're looking for, or what they're trying to do in life or in business. And if you don't seem interested in them, you can't then ask them to be interested in you. So, the law of reciprocity kicks in here, and you need to realize that in order for you to get something from someone else, you have to be willing to give something to them. And you have to understand them enough to know what it is that they would appreciate. Because obviously you don't want to do things that are meaningless, that don't really mean a whole bunch to people. People give me stuff all the time, stuff that I didn't ask for, or stuff that I don't really know how to even appreciate. But if you listen to me long enough, you ask me the right kinds of questions, you may be able to figure out what you can do for me, or what you can ask me for or do for me that I might really, really super appreciate. Let me give you a classic example. I'm going to appreciate the things that I tend to pay attention to, and the things that I notice in other people, more so than the things that other people notice in me, right? So, because I'm an introvert, I'm not an extrovert. Extroverts might go the other way, right? So for me, when I notice somebody's doing something good, I'm going to appreciate it, and I'm going to share with them I appreciate it. Like right now, I'm using StreamYard for the first time. I'm using StreamYard for the first time because I noticed my good friend Gene, who's also on this call, uses StreamYard. And I didn't know how to use it until yesterday. Yesterday, I Googled it. I looked it up. I was like, okay, this seems pretty simple. I'm like, I'll use it. I didn't have a camera, a webcam. So I guess what I did? I ordered one. I went on Amazon, I ordered one. It arrived 15 minutes before this broadcast started. And I set it up, and I'm using it right now. These are all things that I can appreciate because I've noticed that another professional, another friend of mine, is using the tool, right? Very, very important. The more you use the tools, the more you see things, people doing things, and you can appreciate what they're doing, the more you can give thanks for that. I wouldn't have known this had I not been participating on a call with Gene just yesterday, on a conference on ability with Gene just yesterday. And so now I do know it. And so now I can use this tool, right? Very, very important stuff. But if you don't do this right, if you make the mistake of thinking that you're in the world by yourself, or you're an island unto yourself, you can't learn from other people, then you don't notice when somebody's doing it. If you're not interested in other people, then you won't notice what they're doing and how they're doing it, and you don't even know how to appreciate what they're doing. So it's very, very key. So when you're giving yourself this assessment, think, do you know how to ask the right kind of leading questions? Do you know how to get involved with people and get them engaging with you in ways that they're going to feel like you're bringing meaning to them? You're helping them identify in their own lives, in their own business, where they're distinctive, where they're even interesting, what they might do that brings something of substance to the relationship. Very, very important stuff for you to do. If you don't do this well, then you might lose an opportunity to get closer to another professional, right? Very, very important. Number 3. All right, you've got to keep the momentum going. Once you start that process of engaging with people, and you start that process of making commitments and promising and following up, you have to continue the train. Has to keep going. You have to know that you can continue to follow up and follow up and follow up, and as you explore and you learn more about each other, you talk to each other more, you follow up on something else. As you begin to develop more things and ask more questions, you follow up on something else. But you have to have that consistent rhythm, right? So how good are you at creating that rhythm? How good are you at keeping the momentum going? Because you need to be good at keeping the momentum going in a relationship, right? So go ahead and give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at keeping the momentum going. I can tell you right now, my buddy Scott is a genius at keeping the momentum going in a relationship. He is always there consistently. I can depend on Scott, and that means a lot, because if I can depend on you to do the small things, I probably can depend on you to do the larger things. But if I can't depend on you to do the small things, I don't necessarily make the leap that I can depend on you to do the larger things. And so Scott is there. Scott can participate. Scott engages. When Scott has something he's thinking about me, even when we're not together, I can tell because he sends me a little email or something. Like, I saw this job online that I think you might be interested in. You might be qualified for. You might want to follow up on it. And it's always something that is right smack in my wheelhouse, or some kind of opportunity that I could use to create a connection or create a relationship or do something that furthers my life's agenda, which Scott knows what that's all about. So think about that. What are you doing? How are you keeping the relationship that you're building going? What's the process? What are the strategies? What are the techniques? What are the tips that you're using? Some people are good. And guess what? That might become something that you do all the time. You might find that there's something that you enjoy doing. Like I enjoy. You know how many True Voice interviews I've had with friends and associates and colleagues of mine? It's getting well over 2,000 now. Yeah, it's over 2,000 now. That's how many I've done. I know I've done them because I wrote them down. I write everything down, and I make sure that I catalog and categorize and, prioritize all the things that I do in my life and my business so that I can feel like I'm in control. So I've done so many True Voice interviews. I know how to do this. It's old hat to me, because I practice, I rehearse, and I've gone through it. It's very, very important that you do this, or whatever it is, whatever system or strategy you use to follow up and follow through. You have to practice it. You have to test it, try it, practice it, hone it, so that it's good, so that it's good all the time. Okay. Number 4, I don't avoid or procrastinate when it comes to engagement opportunities with the people on my inner circle. I don't avoid or procrastinate when it comes to engagement opportunities within my professional inner circle. Anytime you have somebody that's in the inner circle of your business, of your life, this is a person that is vitally important. You need them for something. The last thing you want to do is be untouchable with those people. These are the people that have your phone number, personal phone number, your cell phone number. These are the people who have your email address. These people who you respond to as soon as you can, whenever they call. You cannot do that for everyone. But there has to be special people. There has to be people in your inner circle who command and deserve and get your attention always. And it's really good when they know each other. When the people on your inner circle are connected to each other as well as to you, man, now because they all trust you, the mutual trust that goes around and connects all of you is much greater. So when you're developing, ask yourself this question: who's on your inner circle? And who needs to be on your inner circle for you to reach the highest levels of success that you need to reach in your life and your business? You cannot procrastinate when it comes to connecting these people, bringing these people together, communicating, delivering with these people. I don't care if you have to, schedule it in your date book, to have a weekly phone call with person number 1 and person number 2, and person number 3, and person number, for me, I can't have more than 5 or 6 people in the inner circle. So my family already takes up 3 slots right there. Boom, that's gone, right? So so that means that the inner circle is people that, because I don't have the emotional bandwidth. Be honest with myself. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to follow up and follow through on all these relationships. So I have to be very careful who I let in the inner circle. Now, there's the people who don't belong on the inner circle because they're just not close enough yet. They don't have enough value added for me to invite them in the inner circle, but they're on the outer circle. For me, those are people that I do high level transactions with, people that I have bought from, or people have bought from me, right? These are transaction level people. Small transactions, I don't really count them as secondary circle. But then people on the third circle, which is pretty much everybody who knows me, right? Everybody I know, is on that third level. And I can promote people from one level to this, from the outer level to the inner levels, but it's very, very important that I have a process even for that. Because if you don't do that, then you are willy-nilly, you let anybody and everybody talk to you all the time, and it's very difficult to control and manage and actually be effective in the things that you need to be effective in to get done, to get things done. But you cannot, again, I must iterate, you cannot procrastinate with people that are on your inner circle. You probably shouldn't procrastinate with people on your secondary circle either, but there's a little bit more forgiveness out there than it is in your inner circle. Because when you procrastinate with people in your inner circle, that hurts. It hurts their feelings. That's when you get emotions involved in that situation. And, you know, once you get emotions involved, all bets are off. You know, everything's off, because people are not going to, your expectations and assumptions are going to be, you know, misaligned sometimes. And you have to take the time to get forgiveness and realignment and all that kind of stuff all going. And it's very, very difficult to do. So you can't do that with 1,000 people. You can only do that with for me, maybe 5 or 6. For some people, their inner circle could be maybe 9 to 10 people, right? Because they're a little bit more extroverted, or they got a lot more time on their hands, and they're willing to expend and extend themselves a little bit deeper than I am. But, you know, for most people, you're going to keep it to about 5 or 6 people in the inner circle. So, okay, next one. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5. Remember, right? You're rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, one being I suck, 10 being I'm brilliant, right? I'm great, right? My follow-up technique matches the concern of those that I'm working with so well that we remain in sync. So, you know how people will try to follow up with you with something that you could care less about, something that you're not interested in, something that doesn't make your heart sing, or someone will try to follow, you'll try to follow with someone because you are interested in them and what they may bring to the table for you, but they're not necessarily interested in you. You're not in sync, right? But when you're matching up and somebody's following up with you on something that you're interested in and they're interested in, you're interested and they're interested in, the interest and the intensity of everything are great matches. You're in sync. You're walking together through this relationship. You're building this relationship step by step, piece by piece, as you follow up. You're making promises and commitments. You're reiterating those promises and commitments. You're sharing your character and what you love and who you are with them consistently and regularly, so that the relationship, as it grows, has something that creates a what next. I can't wait till the next time we meet, the next time we talk. I can't wait till the next time we get together. It was so fun. It's so interesting to be around you. It's so much fun to be with you. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity that we can meet. And it doesn't matter whether this person is a mentor or an advisor or a counselor, consultant, somebody who was above you, your boss. It doesn't matter if somebody's below you, or if they're a protege, or somebody that is a part of your company, or something that, you know, you may have maybe working with a what do they call those? Oh my God, not a protege. There's another person I'm thinking about. You may be an internship person. You may have a person as an intern for you in your office, or underneath you somehow, some way. That it doesn't matter, because you're all even when it comes to this. Everybody brings something to the table when there's follow-up and follow-through, and you're responsible to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do and what you promise you're going to do, and be who you are, and you set all the expectations, and you're walking in rhythm with the person that you're building relationships with, right? But it's not until you know each other and you've done some things together that you can leverage relationships. So it's very, very important that you have that strategy to walk through the steps of creating that relationship. And that's what follow-up is all about. So are you matching the concerns that they have? Are your concerns matching each other? And you're stepping in the way of those concerns in a way that feels good to both of you. If you're doing that, give yourself a 10. If you're not doing that, give yourself a 1, or somewhere in the middle, right? The next question is number 6, or statement is number 6. And this is about making and keeping promises. Here it is. I feel hesitant to make and keep promises, or I don't feel hesitant to make and keep promises with those that I consider networking partners. I don't feel hesitant to make and keep promises with those that I consider networking partners. Are you ready? Is your relationship ready to elevate itself to a point where you're not even hesitant to make promises and commitments with these people? That's when you know you have something that can be leveraged. That's when you know the law of reciprocity has its highest opportunity to kick in for you, and you can ask that person for the same things that they can ask you for with a level of intensity. That's going to be something that you can hang on to in the relationship. They're going to get what you need. They're going to understand your expectations. They're going to deliver because they don't want to let you down. They're going to deliver because they don't want to dishonor the potential of this relationship. Even if it's in its infancy, they're going to do that because they respect you and you respect them. See, that win-win is going to show up in a big way, but you cannot hesitate to keep these promises, to make promises or keep promises. Now, in the business world, there's a statement, and I'm gonna hopefully crush this statement right now. Under promise and over deliver. Okay, that works well in a transaction-based relationship. But if your relationship is based on anything other than, or the reason it exists is anything for more than a transaction, you never want to under promise and over deliver. When you under promise and over deliver in a friendship or an associate relationship, the people that you're in a relationship with automatically know that you've been cheating them. They automatically know because they know what you can deliver. They know who you are. They know the intensity and the pace and the quality that you bring to the table. And so when you commit to do something and you don't commit at the level of your performance, you seem to be shady with them. And that gives them a reason to pause in terms of what's going to happen next in the relationship. So the best example I can give to you is my 30th birthday party. My wife did a wonderful thing for me, or what she thought was a wonderful thing for me. And she gave me a surprise birthday party. And I didn't mind the surprise birthday party as much as I minded the crafty, devious behavior that she had to engage in order to pull this off successfully. And I found out some things about my wife that I did not necessarily want to find out. It's like, wow, she can manipulate my whole world in such a way as I won't even know which way is up or down. I've given her that much credit. And so as long as she uses it for good, it's okay. But I didn't even know she even do that or would do that or could do that. I didn't know that potential existed. And I'm only sharing this example with you, not to embarrass anybody or anything like that, but to let you know that when you shock and overwhelm people that you're close to, whether it's for a good reason or a bad reason, it's still shock and overwhelm. And I was shocked at how well she was at manipulating the situation and making me feel like something was happening that wasn't happening. And, I did the obligatory, oh, it's wonderful, blah, blah, blah. But in the back of my mind, I felt like, wow, you're that good? You're a master manipulator like that? Ooh, this was a challenge for me. So think about that. When you under-promise and over-deliver to people that you want to get close to, it doesn't necessarily endear you to them. It doesn't necessarily make it easier for them to be in a professional relationship with you. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that with a mentor. You don't want to do that with a protege. You don't want to do that with a counselor. You don't want to do that with a team member. You don't want to do that with anybody you have to be in relationship with, or you need to be in relationship with, because the relationship has to exist beyond the transaction. If it doesn't exist beyond the transaction, you don't want it to exist beyond the transaction, or you don't care that it exists beyond the transaction, then all bets are off. Do whatever the marketing strategy or sales strategy that you learned in college or wherever you learned it from, Sandler Sales or whatever that is. Go ahead and do that, because they're not going to work on people long term. That's going to work for short-term transactions, but it's not going to work for people. All right, so it's very, very important that you match that concern, right? You make and keep those promises. The next statement I do want to give you a rating on, or want you to rate yourself on, is your ability to commit to the end, all the way through the process. There's a statement, I have amazing resilience and steadfastness that helps me to follow through all the way. I am known to commit to the end. Think about the people that know you well. Think about the people that you're in close relationship with, and think about that question. Are you known to go all the way through with everything you said you were going to do and commit to the end? That's a character situation, right? You know, people who can make and keep promises and can commit to people that they're working with all the way through, and they don't let excuses get in the way. They don't let life get in the way. Now, life happens. There's nothing we can do to avoid life from happening. But when life starts to get in the way of your commitments or expectations that you have with other people have with you, then that derails relationships. That's the reason for a divorce. This is why people don't stay together, is because they no longer trust each other, if they ever did, right? Their expectations are being ruined, their commitments are not being on point, and it's disastrous. And it's the same thing in business relationships, right? Same thing in professional relationships. No matter what relationships you have with people, when you can't meet their expectations and you can't be trusted, it's over. It has to be repaired in order to get back on to where you were before. It means you've lost momentum, right? You've lost that rhythm that I talked about earlier, and you've got to get now back on track with this relationship. It's better to never lose that momentum, never lose that situation, and be able to commit all the way through to the end of anything that you're working on. So much so that people are like looking forward to not just getting to the end of whatever program or project or whatever, something that you're working on together, right? But you want to get to that end. And that last question is, I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 again, is I have developed a reputation for finishing well. Not only is it important to finish, it's important to finish well. And well is defined by both of you in a relationship. It's not by one of you or the other one. It's by both of you. If you've met and you've agreed that this is how we're going to do this, whatever it is that we're doing, and this is what it's you don't have to write down a partnership agreement. That's good, right? But some type of understanding that you both agree on what it is to be together, what it is to do whatever you're doing together, whatever it is you're trying to create or innovate or strategize around or do, right? Having some a well-written statement is wonderful, not quite necessary for two people to have, but it's a great thing to have, because sometimes people need to be reminded of the promises that they've made for one another, and they need that statement, that document that says, "Can remember we said we are going to do blah 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 blah," and they go, "Oh yeah, okay." Maybe they got distracted, or maybe let some things happen and get in the way, and they want to get back in step, back into the rhythm of what you promised that you would do for each other, right? So that written document is important and is useful. It's not critical, unless you're going to go into a business partnership, which is totally different, right, than a relationship. We're talking about relationship here. Sometimes relationship is based on the partnership, and I get that, but the relationship itself should be able to stand even when the partnership is no longer viable or useful. Okay. So, all right. So let me see who's in the chat. I see. Oh wow, this is everybody coming. It's coming in from everywhere. Okay, that's great. There's a couple big ideas I want to share with you about follow up and follow through that I think are important. And the big ideas are: one, Commitment rules. If you're in a relationship where there's no commitments and you can't make any commitments, you're not in a relationship anymore. It doesn't really exist. There's no match for superior preparation. When you are working with other people and you are trying to win with them and you're prepared, it's much easier than when you're not prepared. You know, people sometimes before they meet with me or talk to me, they Google me and they find out, you know, my LinkedIn profile, they look at my Facebook profile, they get some understanding of who I might be friends with or where I went to college or some of the ideas that I'm sharing right now out there on social media, and they get a feel for my character and things that I'm interested in, things that I care about. And so when they approach me, they know what to approach me with. That's most likely I'm going to agree with, understand, and say yes to. When they don't even take the time to do that, I kind of take offense because it's out there, right? Everything I posted online, everything I posted out there in social media, I did it on purpose because I don't want you to not waste my time coming to me if you don't agree with the things that I agree with, you don't like the things that I like, you don't enjoy things that I like or I enjoy. Don't come. Don't stay where you are because you're not for me. We're not meant to connect, at least not at this time. At some point, you may remember I came across his profile. This guy was about these things. He's about small businesses. He's about being an advocate for small business. By the way, that's what I'm studying right now, advocacy. This is going to be some good stuff that I produce after that, right? Just want to let you a preview hint. Marvin's going to do a big thing about advocacy in the small business community. But if you don't prepare well, then you get what you prepare for. Well, write that down. You get what you prepare for. Make sure I write that down. You guys are my friends, so you'll understand where I'm coming from. Okay, next thing. You need to understand that when you're working with people, fair is not equal. If you end up treating everyone the same, if you go like, well, I treat everybody the same, that's your process. And I got a feeling you forget that everybody's an individual. Everybody deserves to be treated the way they deserve to be treated, and they need to be treated the way they want to be treated. And if you treat everybody the same, you're absolutely going to be doing someone a disservice. And so think about in your network, you have to, especially in your inner circle, you have to treat these people exactly the way they want to be treated so that they feel good about whatever it is you're doing with them. If you treat them the way you think you should be treated, and you're going to dictate to them what they do and who they are, I got a feeling you're not really listening or paying attention. You don't have a servant's heart, and that's not going to work well in a relationship. The next thing is, you got to take charge of expectations. If you have expectations, make them known, especially the people in your inner circle. If you don't make the expectations known, then you increase the possibility that people are not going to meet your expectations. If you don't ask for the expectations that others have of you, then you're probably not going to meet their expectations. So you cannot be scared to ask, what do you hope to gain out of this relationship? What could be, if it was perfect for you, what could you gain from this relationship? What is your expectation? If you do this and you're willing to engage in even a conversation, you can stop wasting a lot of time with people. Because if people have expectations that you can't meet, you need to be like right up front, you know what? I'm not sure that we're going to get there, because in order for me to get there with you, I have to get there in a way that I've never gotten with any other person on the planet. And I'm not saying that's impossible, but I'm saying it's going to take a long time. And if you're willing to engage with me over that long period of time, then maybe, but maybe not. And so let's be honest about what you can expect from me now, today, or in the next week or whatever, not pie in the sky in the future, because we may not ever live to be that, ever get there, right? Whatever that future is. So think about what your expectations are in the short term and in the long term in every relationship. I love this one. This is one of my other big ideas when it comes to relationships, right? If it hurts, stop doing that. If you find that you've hurt somebody's feelings, if you damage them socially or emotionally, if you find like you've impacted their reputation negatively somehow, some way, stop, cease and desist. Don't do that anymore. Stop right there, because you've got some repairing to do. You can't just blow over it. You can't just blow past it. You just can't forget it. It's not like, oh, well, I didn't mean to, so they should just forgive me. Well, maybe they should just forgive you, but they probably don't. Especially if you didn't ask for that forgiveness, especially if you're not willing to atone for whatever thing you did that took them in the wrong direction or derailed the relationship, or and you have to be paying attention to that. Is it working? Is it not working? What's working well? What's not working well? If you continue to ask those questions so that because sometimes people won't tell you when you've offended them or when you've taken the thing in the wrong direction. And now you have to figure out how to make up for lost opportunity or lost time with people. And the last big idea I'm going to share with you before we move into the Q&A section is act exactly like you care. And what I mean by that is don't pretend to care more than you really do or less than you really do. And don't, you got to, if you care at whatever level you care about, you've got to be authentic about that and not try to manipulate the situation. Just be you. Just be in the moment that you care about. Now, having said that, I understand that some of you don't know how to care, right? Some of you just have never thought about caring in a professional sense. You've thought about caring in a personal, maybe emotional sense, but you may not have thought about caring in a professional sense. And I get that. That's a problem. It's a problem in our society. It's a problem in the Western world that we tend to care about people that are in our assignment box, right? So if you've been assigned a protege, if you've been assigned a mentor, if you've been assigned a working relationship with somebody because you work in their department or whatever, or you're on the team with them, you tend to care about them because you're supposed to, you have to. And so you care about them limited to the professional world that you exist in usually. But those relationships tend to be the ones you turn into friendships. People that you work with, you turn those into friendships, and those friendships. So, you've got to think about that. How do you bridge that gap quickly? And how do you actually how do you actually just care about that person? Whether, in or outside the working relationship, how do you care? And how can you be authentic with what you care about this person? What about this person should you care about? And maybe if you do some time in the exploration phase, which is step 1 and 2, you might figure that out. If you listen to them long enough, if you ask deep, penetrating, engaging questions well enough, if you make promises and commitments, small promises and commitments, and lead up to bigger promises and commitments, if you understand what their gifts are, what they bring to the table, and maybe you help create in the universe or an environment where they can share their gifts in a meaningful, powerful way, then maybe you're moving that relationship along and you're making commitments and you're following up and you're following through. Last thing I want to say about follow up and follow through is this. Follow up is about getting started. It's about making momentum. It's about creating a strategy or rhythm in a relationship. Follow through is about finishing well, finishing big, finishing in a way that both of you all will appreciate. When you master the art of following up and following through, you're going to have successful relationships. No one's going to accuse you of making them feel unappreciated. No one's going to be able to say to you with any relative or clarity that you're expending energy in the wrong direction or you're doing the wrong things when it comes to your relationship with them. No one will make you feel like you're punishing yourself by being engaged in a relationship with them. Because these are all the things that happen when you get follow up and follow through wrong. It just feels bad. It sucks to be in relationship with people that it should not suck to be in relationship with. Okay, so having said all that stuff, I'm going to end the formal presentation. It's about 4 o'clock now. I've been at this for a minute. I want to make sure that you all have what you need to have to move forward. So I'm going to answer some questions. If you have any further questions about anything I've shared or anything that you want to talk about or chat about or learn about, go ahead and throw me a question in the chat and I'll go over it, right? So Jean has a question about number 1. She said, you mentioned consistent communication, but then mentioned, are we open to welcoming to communication with our contacts. Okay. I make consistent communication with the persons that you need to invite into your universe in a very meaningful and specific way. I don't think you should open your world up to anybody, everybody who asks. I think you should very, very closely guard that, as a matter of fact, to people who deserve that opportunity. And as you need to have a sort of a litmus test for who deserves the opportunity to be invited into your world. But if you need to, again, write that out, strategize it. What is it that people have to do? I call this the trust meter, right? And everybody has a different trust meter. What is it that people have to do to earn the trust, to earn the right to come into my inner circle, or to be invited, or to meet the people in my inner circle? What is it they have to show me? What is it they have to say? What do I have to see in them to make it useful? And I have that well-structured thought process kind of written down and outlined for myself so that I can stay true to the game. Because quite frankly, there's people who come into my life and they amaze me. They really do. I'm so impressed with them. And I'm all like the personality, the style, the way they deliver stuff is. I'm almost ready. I'm like almost immediately ready to invite them in my inner circle when I realize let me go back to my inner circle checklist. Like, what is this? Do they do this? Okay, no, they don't have half of this. So they're not really ready for this, but they are halfway there. And then I tell them, I'll go ahead and tell them if we have a moment to communicate. It's like, you know what? I was so excited about you. I almost invited you into my inner circle until I saw my checklist and I realized that there's a couple things that's missing. But you're on the way to, you and I being able to create a magical relationship. I'm okay with that because I think people sometimes need to know that they're winning with you. And if you don't tell them, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because they like winning and people usually want to continue winning. They want to do whatever is next. They might ask you, people have asked me all the time, so what else do I have to do that's on your list to win with you? And I'll tell them, well, I haven't really checked your references yet. I haven't seen any testimonials or endorsements that anybody's given you, especially anybody that's like me. And so I don't know if you and I will work well together. And they may go, well, okay, tell me more about yourself. Now we're into a conversation about whoever I want to talk about in the first place, which is what? So think about that. Those are all techniques that help you get in, keep you communicating, keep you working with the right people. What other questions do we have here? Okay, I have different numbers for those different things. Great. That's a good thing, because as long as you have different numbers for different parts of the quiz and all that kind of stuff, you can write it down. Then you can approach it and go, okay, what do I need to do to be better in this space? Do I need to be, or even question, do I even need to be better in this space? Do I need to be consistent with the communication in my network? Do I need to be better at that? Do I need to learn how to ask more leading questions to people that I want to be in professional relationship with? Are my questions working? Do I need to tweak them? Do I need to adjust them? If so, what do I need to adjust them to? Do I need to keep the momentum going in my relationships so that we don't have this, I haven't talked to you in forever. What have you been up to? You have to re-engage and reinvent the relationship. If you have to keep those relationships fresh, there's only so many you can keep up going at the same time. So you have to be very careful about your time allocation and how you do it. Maybe you have a once a week call, or once every 2 week call, or once a month call, or meeting, or face chat, or whatever you're doing with that person, or what do they call it, LinkedIn or Zoom, or whatever you're doing, whatever communication that is, as long as it's a two-way communication, it's a great way to just to connect and reconnect and keep the momentum of the relationship going, right? Whatever that you need to do differently, you have to do that. Throw whatever questions you got out there, Gene. I'm going through all of them right now. Yeah, I saw you lost me. Right. When you said no, I plan to be there, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, StreamYard. Okay, all right, I got that. And how do you differentiate consistent communication and keeping the momentum? Okay, so there is no differentiation between those two ideas, because when you're communicating with someone, if you leave it in like a sort of a cliffhanger, then you can't wait to the next communication when we talk about this next thing, right? So there's always that next thing on the horizon that keeps the communication going, that keeps the communication flowing, even if you're not with each other. sort of next week we're going to talk about this, or next time we meet we're going to talk about that, or I can't wait to explore more with you about whatever it is. That's what I mean by, keeping the communication going, keeping a reason to keep the rhythm of going. A once and done relationship, or once and done communication, like, okay, you said this, I said that, we understand each other, we're done. It's not a relationship. It might be a transaction. It's not a relationship. Relationships, man, we run out of time to talk about this, and there's so much more to explore. We have to explore it again in the future. That's consistent communication. That's relationship. Another question from Jane. How do we come up with our own checklist? Because you are right, we cannot constantly communicate with everyone. Okay, so I love this when I work with my clients, I often teach them, okay, so when it comes to your trust meter and developing your own checklist for how you're going to develop trust with people, right? Think about what has happened to you in your past. What has happened to create trust with people in your past? Now, probably all you have to go from is your personal relationships. And because we spent so much time thinking that there's a difference between personal and business relationships, we don't recognize that they're one and the same, right? We don't have a different rhythm for human beings to be in this relationship or that relationship or this relationship. It's all the same, because we're going to trust the same way. So what are the things categorically that people have done to earn your trust in the past? And I'll tell you, for me, people who have given me the benefit, busy people who have given me their attention, I love that they earn my trust. People who are high achievers, and they can demonstrate that they're high achievers, they earn my trust pretty quickly. People who have third-party endorsement, basically somebody that I already trust, even already introduced me, or they can show me their testimonials, endorsements, any type of recommendation from other people. Even if I don't know them, if there's enough of that, then they're going to earn my trust fast. So those are some of the things that are on my trust meter list, right? So what are on your trust meter list are going to be things that are different for you based on what you've done in the past. I'm more likely to trust you when you've demonstrated some success in an area that I need to trust you in. If you haven't demonstrated any type of success in that particular area, then there's no reason why I should trust you. And, I love this. Sometimes you'll get in a situation where people will, in a referral relationship with you, they'll say, look, I'm going to put you on my list of people that I refer that are in your category. So people that are all, lawyers, I'll put you on that list. I don't want to be on that list. I want to be on the one and only list, which is the one that says you trust Coach Powell for things related to small businesses, especially small businesses that fit within my wheelhouse. That's the list I want to be on. I don't want to be one of the several coaches you refer, because I want you to have some skin in the game. If you don't trust me enough to just straight out refer me, then I got some work to do with you in order to create that trust. That's the work that we should be doing. That's the relationship we should be building. But if the level of trust that we've earned is we belong to the same networking group, or you just have me on a list of other people, and you're not going to specifically think of me, we're done. We don't have a relationship. And I'm not saying we're done. We just have work to do to get to the point in a relationship where I'm the only one you refer. And I don't care how many other people come to the table or invited to the group or anything like that, because I know that my friends and associates believe and trust. I've done the work that I need to do to win the hearts and minds of my friends and my associates who believe and trust in me. And I've asked them the question. Here's the magic question. What do I have to do to earn the highest level of trust that you could give another human being? What do I have to show you? What do I have to be? What do I have to do to earn that trust? Quite frankly, most people have never thought it through. So ask yourself the question, when you're creating your checklist, what is it that a person has to do? What do they have to show you? Who do they have to be? to earn your trust? And then make that checklist. 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 And then make that ch This is what they have to do. This is what they have to be. This is what they have to show me. And when they've done that, then give them the trust. In fact, don't hold it from them. Share it with them. Like I tell people all the time, if people are trying to get into your network, they're trying to get your time and attention, give them the recipe to do it successfully. If you do that, then, and if they do what they're supposed to do, then they've earned the trust. It might take seconds to do it, or it might take several meetings or several. You have to figure it out how much time you're willing to attend to a person who wants to earn your trust. But I think that, depending on the potential of that person, I think you might want to spend a good amount of time with that. So I share people quite early in a relationship. You're not going to find someone who has a deeper, more connective network than I do in this space. Like I have over 20,000 followers. People watch and listen to me. People expect to hear from me. I am a person who could influence decisions, large and small, for a lot of people. And so I'm a person you might want to have at the ready in your network. The question is, how do you get me to work for you? How do you leverage what I have for you? And there's a meter. There's a trust meter that you have to go through for me to be invited into that circle of people that I'm willing to spend time, effort, and energy on. If you don't know what it is, you probably should ask. If you do know what it is, then you should get to the business of performing. That what's needed so that you can ask me the question, hey, Marvin, will you introduce me to this person? Marvin, will you do this for me? Marvin, can I ask you this, yes or no? And what do I need to do to be able to ask you this in a way that you're going to say yes to? Again, if you're not willing to have these kinds of conversations with people, then you're not going to be able to leverage a relationship. You're not going to be able to build a relationship. It's going to be built on nothing. And you're not going to be able to leverage it once you've built it, because you thought that building a relationship was what you're supposed to be doing, but you don't realize that there's an end game that you're trying to get to in this relationship, which might be higher levels of trust. It might be, I want you to join my advisory council, or I want you to help me find a mentor, or I want you to, teach me a strategy that might work for you. All kinds of different things based on a person's expertise and experience and relationships, that they've been able to accomplish, and that they can be leveraged for the greater good. You just have to be creative enough to find those opportunities and move within those opportunities. One of the things I love doing, I think I do well with people, is when they say, Marvin, I need you to come and speak to my organization or be a part of right now with massive Zoom call or whatever that is. And I always knock it out of the park. I really always do well when it comes to those interviews and those questions, because I don't mind hard-hitting questions, and I have nothing to hide, so I'm open book. And people tend to appreciate that, and I attract people because of that, because I don't hold anything back. I don't have anything to hold back. I don't have any reason. I don't have anything to fear. I don't have any reason to be worried that somebody's gonna take advantage of me, because I give everything away. So what are you gonna take from me? Kind of thing. And so, but that's my character, right? And so when you think about what you bring to the table, you got to know how to explain it, how to share it with other people, how to tell people how to get to it, whatever that is. And the better you are at that, the better you become at that, the more you're going to attract the right people to you. You're going to attract the people who you love serving, you love working with, you love being a part of. But if you're not good at explaining, these are the types of people that I most enjoy being around. These are the types of people that you can introduce me with, and whether we do business or not, we're going to be well together. We're going to do good things for each other, with one another. If you do this well, you're going to win with people. If you don't do this well, then I think you're going to have a hard time winning with people. Is there anything else I want to share with you? There's a couple quotes I want to share with you before we get off, but let me see if I can find them. Yeah, I do have them right here. Okay. So I love this quote from Martha Graham. Martha Graham says, All that is important is this one moment, this one movement. Make the moment important, vital, and worth living. Do not let it slip away unnoticed and unused. Now, Martha Graham was one of the most famous choreographers on the planet. There's so many shows that are now her work is a part of, whether or not she's been dead a long time, but her skills, and she's transformed how American dance is done. She's transformed the American dance movement. She's created the Martha Graham approach, almost as much as Fosse has. So when she says all that is important is this one moment in movement, how does that relate to your follow-up strategy? When you're following up with people, are you in the moment? Are you in the movement where you've got to be so that it counts? Because I got a feeling if you're doing things with people that are not good, that are not, they're not winning with them, you know, you're just doing what you want to do, not what works best for them. You're not considering them, and then it's going to come off as disrespectful and disloyal, and it's going to come off as inauthentic, and that's never going to resonate well with people. You have to be authentic. You have to be a person who can make a connection, not just through a transaction, but emotionally. I understand you. I'm listening to you. I'm trying to get to know you. I want to understand you. Something about you is special, is significant, and it was going to make a difference for me to understand you. If you're willing to go that distance, then you can make the moment count. You can be in the moment with people, and you can lose yourself with people. I do it all the time. In fact, we just did it yesterday. I mean, we were on a show with Gene yesterday, and another good coach friend of mine, and we just lost ourselves in the moment. We didn't want to stop. We had to. We had life to get back to, right? So, you know, those are relationships that we know can continue because we're like-minded people sharing an answer and the back and forth question. And, you know, those are all good things that make relationships tick. Right? It's important that you do that. Another quote I want to read to you. This is from Jane Austen, who wrote Pride and Prejudice. And I love this quote because it's about taking pride in the work that you do with one another. And I want you to see if you can see that in the quote. Vanity and pride are different things. Though the words are often used synonymously, a person may be proud without being vain. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves. Vanity to what we would have others think of us. So I want you to think about that. When you're out there networking, are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of your own behavior in terms of how you're developing relationships with people, how you're dealing with people? Because if you're proud of your contribution, if you're proud of your assessment, if you're proud of what you brought to the table, then you don't have to worry so much about what they think and what they don't think. Because you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find that vein of success and people that you should be around, people that you should be with, people that you should focus on in your life and in your business. And they'll never feel taken advantage of or disrespected or humiliated or shamed because of your relationship. But you've got to do that work. You got to do the things that make you proud of yourself. You got to do the things that will help you be greater as a person. And you got to ask lots of questions. You got to be willing to be humble. You got to receive feedback in a way that's going to be meaningful. And I'm not saying that any of this is easy. I'm saying it's necessary for you to develop sustainable professional relationships. It's necessary for you to develop success with people long term. Again, if you're living in the transaction world, that's not necessary. You don't have to be a person of good character, of high quality moral standard. You don't have to have an ethical fiber in your body. You can just tell a lie, manipulate somebody, and get them to do whatever you want them to do. But at the end of the day, once they figure it out, I think you're done with them. And that's not what you want, then I think you got to be very careful. You have to be smarter about how you do things. I love this last quote that I'm going to share with you, that I'm going to shut it down if you guys don't have any more questions. This is from Helen Keller. And this is about staying focused and focused in vision focus, right? It's amazing that Helen Keller wrote a quote about staying focused and keeping your vision. Helen Keller says, the most pathetic person in the world is someone who has sight but no vision. I think that quote speaks for itself. You need to be deeper than what's right in front of you. You need to be deeper in terms of where you're going with your life and what life is offering and what you're offering to life than what's right, the superficial stuff that's right in your face. People who get that can look at people and not just receive them for their dress or their hair color or their height or whatever it is that is the superficial stuff that's right in front of you. They can go deeper. They can go to the person's character. They can begin to understand their fears and adjust how they behave based on the readiness a person has to accept new ideas and new things and new directions. That's called emotional and social intelligence. This is the stuff that greatness is made of. If you get it and you understand it, you'll never lose. If you have trouble, then you got some work to do. It's okay that you have trouble, but you got some work to do, and you got to do the work, because the work is not going away. If you don't do the work, as Iyanla Vanzant would say, it's the work that will crush you. So be careful out there and do the work. I had a great time, guys. This was a lot of fun. I realize now that, my internet connection is spotty, so I won't be using my normal internet connection. I got to figure out how to fix that. And but it's a great broadcast, great program. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. Hopefully I'll be able to get some good pieces from the video that I can splice together and share and do all kinds of good stuff. But this has been fun. So again, if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today. It's been amazing for me. I hope it's been good for you. And if there's anything that you want to see or whatever, again, throw me a message in the chat and we'll see where we go. All right, guys, thank you very much. And we're going to sign off now.